Thanks for your patience. There we go. Judge Harbin Forte, are you there? If you are, you're on mute. Commissioner Ordaz, are you there?
Yes, thank you.
You are, you're on, okay, great. Commissioner Harbin Forte?
Okay. Okay. My camera, where's my camera? Okay, cool. Okay, all right, there we go. Got some folks on. Hello, Mariano, Pastor Smith, Pastor Thompson, and commissioners. Oh God, Jackson, Castaigne, and Ordaz. Let's see, Mika is on there. Well, hi, Mika. Let's see. Can you, Angela, make me the host?
I've promoted you to panelist. Make host, yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, great. I'm going to try to do some screen sharing once we get on.
Okay.
I wonder how many other people tried. I was determined this time not to be late. Let's see. It says 6 panelists and 7 participants. So there may be somebody in the Charlotte is in the waiting room. So I'm going to promote her to a panelist. So Charlotte should be on. Okay. Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, can you hear me this time?
Yes, we can.
Great. I know that.
Okay, great.
My Zoom and everything. I'm sorry. I didn't get the panelist permissions for some reason. It wasn't letting me do it.
Oh, okay then. Yeah, it was. Did everybody get an email? Kelly said that she was going to send an email yesterday.
I got the email, but it wouldn't.
Okay. It wouldn't let you in. Okay then. Well, it wasn't open up at first because I couldn't get in, but Commissioner Jackson Castaigne did let us in. Shall we give it another minute or two? Well, it's 6:09. We can get going, and we can start with the. I'll keep an eye on the participant list, or actually, if Carly or Angela, if one of you could keep an eye on the participant list and see if there's anybody else who comes in. And if I have to let them in, I will. But Angela, if you can still promote them to panelists, that would be great. So I was being so prepared for everything. Okay, let me get back down here. Okay, I'm going to try to do a screen share. I'm hoping that it'll be okay. Can you see the screen share? Everybody see what's on the screen now? The draft red line version. Why don't I started going through the document, the Google shared document. I don't know if did anyone else go into the shared document and make any corrections or suggestions? No. Okay. All right. So we can go through what I've done with it. Pastor Jackie, is Pastor Jackie still on? Yes. All right.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh.
I got the email. I wasn't able to access the document, but I do have my notes and thoughts. Good
Okay.
evening, everyone. Good evening.
All right. Good evening. Good evening. And so just to start all over again, then, okay, I'm here, the chair, Brenda Harbin Forte, Commissioner Harbin Forte, Commissioner Angela Jackson Costain is here, as well as Commissioner Caudill Ordaz. We have Charlotte, I'm going to draw a blank on your last name.
Jones.
I'm sorry?
Jones.
Charlotte Jones, who is now the acting interim executive director of CPRA. Is that what you are now?
I am the acting executive director, yes.
Okay. All right, then. We have Pastor Jacqueline Thompson now on as a community member. We have Mariano Contreras on as a community member. We have Mika Bell, who is with CPRA. Who's on, and that is so far the membership, and we don't see anybody else. I don't think Angela's going to keep track of any participants who may be trying to get in.
Commissioner Harbin Forte,
Yes,
is there any way you can make this a little larger?
let me try, and I can feel you, because every time I was
Yep.
trying, let me see if I can get a zoom in.
If you open it in the desktop app, it usually works better.
Open it in a desktop app.
Yeah, so where you see the thing that says drop down, it says reviewing. At the top,
Reviewing.
it's the blue button. Yeah, click that. And then all the way at the bottom, open in desktop app, and that'll open in Word, so you're not looking at it through the web browser.
So it says,
Will that
If you
allow
have
us?
Word,
huh?
if you have Word downloaded on your computer.
Yeah, I have Word on here. Let's see, make sure I don't lose it.
If we do it with Word, are we able to make changes to the shared document or at the
Yes.
same time? Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
We can still make changes to the shared document, Angela?
Yeah, and
Okay,
it should also,
now why is it not opening?
it's just taking a moment.
Okay. Boy, that's huge. Word will not convert it to an editable print document.
Oh, no, I don't know why your Word is doing that. So
Okay.
I think we should maybe, I'm sorry, go back.
Let's
Oh,
go,
this is it. Nope, this is fine. It's got autosave on. It's perfect. So
huh?
now you just have to, it's good, because you can see the other people that are in the documents and it has autosave on. And you can
My
make it,
edits in there, so my edits are in blue now. Okay. Kind of hard to see the I'm not a Jesse Shea, Jesse. Okay, so let's just go, we're gonna go through paragraph by paragraph. Somebody else has made some corrections too, I'm guessing.
yes, and you can zoom out a little or open your screen all the way.
I'm sorry, what are we
Go-
doing now?
Go
At the-
down to the bottom where it says, I don't know if you see it, to where it says 200%. Far right, at least far right on my side.
Yes,
I'm not seeing it. Where is it?
It's closer to the, if you can see the comment section right below there.
Mm-mm. What about view? 100%.
100%.
No, it's toward the bottom of the actual, oh, okay.
that works too.
If we get, no, that's 100%. If we get 100 and
We'll try also like the print layout.
Hmm.
I think that's good. And then if you just want to click the box in the top right corner to make it full screen.
Where it says what now?
click the box in the top right corner next to the close X. It's right above where it says share. There you go. And then that should make it, okay, the full screen.
Is that better for you, Mariano? Can you see that?
You're on mute, Mariam.
Yes, thank you.
Can you see it? And then, and hold on one second, that was one,
No, that just got smaller.
yeah, I did 150 and then I messed with it. I'm gonna even try 175%. Ooh, don't you just hold, you know, don't do 175%. Okay. Okay, so we'll go down. First correction is to substitute citizen for community. I'm not sure, I don't think.
There's a comment on the first sentence.
Okay,
Commissioner Ardaz inserted a comment, and then I do have a comment about the first opening sentence as well.
okay. Let's see, go to comment. Oh, it's not getting to comment.
It's on the right side.
Oh, you know what it is that it's hidden by. Let me try to move you all over out of the way. Okay, there you go. The comment, kind of really says to reframe it and to start with the history of CPRB. Okay.
And I'm happy to just provide more context on that comment. I think that, you know, it's very, I would encourage us to have, you know, a more positive perspective on this. I think that is super like negative and very, and again, I understand why. I understand the dynamics and the role that this body plays in holding OPD accountable. But I do not think we should frame it this way. I think this first sentence really sort of erases some of the progress we've made in some areas. Again, I know there's still a lot more that we need to do. So I'm just thinking of, if a community person picks up this document, what are they going to take from the whole, you know, just reading that first sentence, I think it just creates not a good perspective on the work. So I would reframe it and start with the history of CPRB, which is actually Citizens Police Review Board, not community, and really kind of start the narrative from where that started to where we are today.
Okay.
I would concur with that. I felt the first sentence as the introduction was a little harsh.
Okay, all right. And by the way, there is a person on the phone number ending in 4671. Who is that in attendance? Hello? Looks like you may have your phone muted. Hello? I am not sure who that is, or whether they belong here. If it's a member of the public, they should. I'm going to remove and let them call back in. I don't know. I have no idea who it is. And I gave them permission to talk. And they're not talking. Hold on a second. I don't know. I'm going to remove that person. If I remove them, they won't be able to rejoin the webinar. So they can, if you're legit, you can email one of the commissioners or something and we'll try to get you back in, but I'm not sure who you are. And I don't know what happened to Pastor Jackie either.
She's on there. She's on.
Yeah, I'm still here. My hand
Oh,
is
you're
right.
still there? Okay.
I
All
am.
right. Okay.
I'll lower my hand. I know we are starting with the history of the Community Police Review Agency, but in keeping with a comment that was just made, I am not sure that the history should be the introduction to the document.
mhm.
And so depending on who the document is for, I assume that it is for the community. If I am wrong, please correct me. But I think we've made some assumptions about what people may know and what they may not know. Further down in the document, there is a section, if we have the ability to reorder the document. If we do not, then stop me now. But in my opinion, the opening should really say what CPRA is. Even if it's just a brief sentence that says, here is what, this agency, as we are calling it now, the Community Police Review Agency is, here is its history.
Mhm.
So then that way, just launching into the history, I'm not sure, and not getting to what the agency is until much further in the document after values and all the rest of that. To me, as a community person, it took me a while to get to the meat of it. It would be much more helpful, I think, if we were able to say, here is what CPRA is, here is its history, here is its mission, here are its values, and then kind of get to the nuts and bolts of process. That's just my opinion. I'll go back on mute because, as you know, I have many. So.
Okay. I think that the reorganization of these introductory parts are good. Mika, you're still here. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm here, and I think that from my understanding from during this ad hoc, this document is supposed to be for internal employees. So I think that we need to keep that in mind. I know that the community will have access to this, but this is written for internal employees.
Then thank you for that piece of information. So I'll leave it. Okay.
Okay, but we also want it written so that the members of the public can pick up this document and understand what the CPRA is supposed to do and how it's supposed to handle complaints. So it has two purposes. And did we lose Charlotte? Is that what happened?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, then. All right. Even if it's for internal, is there any problem with reordering the first paragraph, the introductory part of it?
And
No.
even if just moving that part that says what is CPRA to the top, to above the history, you just have an introductory 2 sentences. This is what the agency is. Here is the history of it. Here is what it does.
Mhm.
I think that would be helpful even to staff.
Yeah.
I will say, no, absolutely, there's no problem in reordering that. I can definitely do that. But I also will second what Mika said, though. I think we also do need to keep in mind that while we want everyone to be able to clearly understand anything that we write, this is an internal document that we're using for the investigators and the intake staff to understand the procedures that they need to follow in order to do their job. I'm taking into consideration what, I'm sorry, I don't remember from last meeting, said about wanting to, the person said about wanting everyone to be able to read it. We can definitely do some type of more community-friendly summary, shorter version, if there's something that we would like to have for the community to be able to pick up. But this document in particular really should be more of a procedural manual.
Okay, all right. And as from a police commission perspective, I think it's important for the commissioners to know what CPRA is supposed to be doing, but because otherwise we can't supervise you. And the document, the first drafts were a bit dense to me in terms of understanding what is done, how it's done, and what you're supposed to do. So I think that we can end up with a document that serves different needs, and that while certainly the investigators need to know what their processing is, the commissioners need to know what the processing is, case processing is, and also the public needs to know what the case processing is. So, so I think I think we're agreeable to. Charlie, you don't have any problem with reorganizing it And the suggestion was that,
I'm not suggesting a change in language. I'm suggesting
Right.
just taking something that is a little further down in the document and
Right.
moving it to the top. That's it.
yeah, it's just a
So-
matter of reordering paragraphs. It's not
Right.
changing the substance.
And I do concur with the statements that have been made regarding reframing the context of that first sentence reflects. I agree with that.
Okay, so, and so we're clear, the first paragraph will be what, Pastor Jackie? It'll start with what?
If you scroll further down in the document,
That's what
if
I'm
that's
trying-
possible,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I am all thumbs, so,
and if not, I can send it by email so that we don't delay moving through the process, because I know our time is limited. But after we get past the values and all the,
so where would you,
it's after all of this.
after
portion-
all of this,
Yeah,
okay,
after all of that, the portion that I'm referencing, jurisdiction is, keep scrolling. Yeah, after all of that, you're gonna come to a section that says, I think, duties and responsibilities, something like that, after the terms.
okay.
And the first two, well, there it is.
What is CPRA?
There it is.
Okay,
I'm asking if that can be moved up a bit further. Not that you don't have to include the executive staff part and all of that. I think that could go under another section that will flow better even for employees. But even
mhm,
if you just took the first two parts or the first part, what is CPRA?
yeah,
And move that above the history, not as a part of the opening document, but just above the history. So that soon as you pick it up, you know, okay, this is what the agency is supposed to do here, and the document is going to tell you how to do that. Here's the
Okay.
process of doing that.
okay. I think that's a great idea. And I had
And like I
asked,
said, I am noting it in an email as well, so that if we don't make the change in this particular document, someone will have it to be able to make the change. So
okay,
you don't have to worry about that.
okay. And I had indicated, why are we, it's gonna copy, I got a copy. Why are we repeating it? Because there was some redundancy in terms of what we do. But we're gonna put that up here. That's gonna kind of be the first paragraph.
I have a question. Jackie, who are you going to email your comments to?
The only email that I have received something from is Kelly Yoon.
Okay.
Is that
okay.
who it should go to?
I think it should be fine. I think we will get it. CPRA will get it if Kelly gets it. So that
Yeah,
works.
Yeah, because that's the only person who has ever emailed me. So that's the only one that I
okay.
Okay,
have.
sounds good. Sounds good.
I'll say,
Okay.
Commissioner
Yes.
Harper, you don't really have to, because we're making notes and well, I'm
Okay.
making notes about what she wants changed. If that's time consuming for you to actually move the,
Okay, all right then,
I'm definitely taking note of what you guys are saying, so.
okay. And then with respect to this first part of it, what Measure LL does, my suggestions, I wanted to shorten things, but also that the commission was empowered to oversee the CPRA when we talk about the history of the Oakland Police Commission. An investigative, independent investigative body. Okay,
Uh,
the mission,
Commissioner Harmon Forte,
yes,
in there, in the where you stated that the police commission will oversee CPRA. I think it's important to mention there that also the police commission will interview and hire staff and not staff, director. I don't think anywhere in here it mentions that.
okay,
And along
Okay.
with that, it's also important to mention that the director, the leadership in CPRA should reflect the people who file complaints. because you know, I liken this to when you have people of color going to a doctor. A lot of times, particularly African-American women get dismissed, you know, from what they're complaining about, you know, in their health. And it's because they don't have someone who looks like them or knows about them. And I think that, you know, that's why I liken this to that, is that the director or the leadership in CPRA should reflect the majority of the complainants, the people who fill the complaints. Who file them.
Okay, and maybe we put that might, I don't know that that was specifically in Measure LL. Maybe we put it in the mission part of it or something. Or maybe we can put it there. This paragraph talks about what Measure LL provided.
Correct.
Yeah, and so I don't know that it's specifically in Measure LL or S1 that the employees kind of reflect the demographics or something of the community, but that could certainly be in CPRA's mission, maybe, or perhaps it goes into the OPC's
Right.
policies, rules, or something like that.
Certainly,
That's an excellent point.
Certainly in the mission, you know, because it alludes to a lot of that. It says, you know, there to increase accountability, improve public confidence. You know, that's alluding to that, right? So yeah, I think in mission it could go in there.
Okay. And we'll just this is as a placeholder. Kadale, go ahead.
I just wanted to draw your attention, Chair, that we got an email, Commissioner Jackson Canstein and I got an email about asking if this is open to the community, if this meeting is open to the public.
It is open to the public.
Okay.
And that's one reason I haven't kicked the person out. So it's open to the public, but although it's been a while, I remember one of my first OPC meetings, someone Zoom bombed the meeting, and there was a lot of N-words and stuff thrown around before we were able to get them out.
I don't see this meeting listed on our website. How would people know how to join or learn?
I thought that Kelly had put our meetings on the website, and I do believe that they are on our website.
It is. You have to click into the ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
Tab. I'll put the link in the chat.
Yeah. Once you go into this ad hoc, it has all of our meeting dates there. Okay. Okay, that's a placeholder about Mariano's point. My edits were more grammatical, but I did have inserted graphics showing the reporting and oversight relationships between the OPC, CPRA, and the OIG. I think that would be good to have a graphic there somewhere.
Okay.
Perhaps before the mission. And I thought that the mission part, having 2 paragraphs, I did not think it was necessary. I thought we could shorten it to 1, and particularly the second paragraph, and try to enhance that and just state, you know, the mission of CPRA is to create accountability, improve public trust and confidence in the police by receiving and fairly authority, etc. So that second paragraph really should be the statement of the mission. And we don't need to repeat that that the Oakland community voted to establish a CPRA. We don't need to repeat that. We have it in the history anyway. So I thought this, the mission part contained some redundancy and duplication that we didn't need. So again, the note would be to just use that second paragraph, and if there's anything that's necessary from the first paragraph that we haven't put in, that we included, but that mission be one paragraph. Any other thoughts or comments on that section? And then we go down to, we got jurisdiction, and then we got CPRA adopts NACO. And I thought if we're going to talk about NACO, we need an introductory paragraph explaining what NACO is. And also, are those verbatim best practices? Is this taken from a NACO document?
Yes, it
Or a
is.
Summary. Okay.
Taken from a NACO document.
Okay.
It's
So
taken
it's
from
taken.
their, right, code of conduct.
Okay. And one reason that I asked, so I won't change, there were a couple of grammatical things that I would have changed, but if it is taken from NACO, then it's fine. The glossary of terms, definitions, acronyms, my suggestion is that we list them all in alphabetical order, and that we also add one that says chief refers to the chief of police of the Oakland Police Department. Because we keep throughout the document, we talk about the chief of police, the chief of the Oakland Police Department, and I don't think we need to do that. Anytime any staff sees the word chief, you're going to know you're talking about the chief of OPD.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Hartman Forte.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Back to the jurisdiction paragraph.
Yes.
In the second sentence where it says public complaints of alleged misconduct or failure to act of all Oakland Police Department sworn employees. My question is the failure to act, is that the same as a duty to intervene?
It would include a duty to intervene, I think, but Charlotte, go ahead.
I was going to say this language is pulled directly from the charter.
From the what?
From the charter language.
Okay.
The chart from Measure Well, correct? Because that wasn't changed in S1. And I think the duty to intervene, I think that was that language was very specific after the Floyd killing. You know, some of the other officers that were present, you know, they were charged with the failure of duty to intervene. And so I'm just wondering if we're going to be using that language of failure to act, if it's the same, or can we change it to duty to intervene?
Well,
I'll review. I was going to say I will definitely review for that language in the charter or the measures, but I didn't see that.
and I don't know that duty to intervene is in the charter. There may be a few things that may constitute a failure to act. It could be failure to intervene. It may well encompass something else as well. There are sometimes there can be a failure to do other things, even a failure to report something, or there could be some other failures to act. I don't think it's limited. It may be that we could refer to actions or omissions or something. But I can see why CPRA would want to have the specific language from the charter. So let's take a look at it. And but failure to act would certainly include failure to intervene if it's required to intervene. If OPD requires you to intervene in certain circumstances, or the law does. Would you agree, Charlotte?
Yes, if there's some language there in the charter or the section or any of the measures, we can include that. Again, that came directly from section 604, that language in particular. So it may be somewhere else. And if it is, I can definitely cite it and include it.
And I guess my point is that failure to act is broad.
Mhm.
It's not limited to anything. And so if we leave this failure to act, it would include a failure to intervene if they're supposed to intervene, or would include any other failures to act where there is an affirmative duty to act.
I agree.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So the one of the things about the glossary is that okay, and I guess your staff does need to know all of the information that's in the glossary, the reasons for the glossaries. Office of the Inspector General, OIG. Office of the Inspector General is an independent, nonpartisan oversight agency. Okay. Okay, so maybe once we do, maybe once we get in, we may find that we don't need some of these defined. But my note on Oakland Police Department Internal Affairs Division was, why are we using IAD and OPD IAD sometimes? Why, it's never going to be anything other than Oakland Police Department's IAD, right?
Well, the reason that I have them separate and then I put them together is because some of the references can be OPD and or IAD. So it may not just refer to IAD. So if I put IAD, I would have to put OPD and IAD, depending on what I'm talking about, depending on what the issue is referencing. So that's why I had OPD/IAD. So, you know, we can just talk about OPD, or we can just talk about IAD, but some things reference both, which are separate. So that's why I had the slash.
Okay.
But we can say OPD and IAD when it comes to those things, if you'd rather say them separately.
Sometimes it was just IAD, like you're going to be receiving something from IAD, but it says if it's received from OPD IAD or to contact OPD IAD. And so that was one of the reasons, kind of, well, why aren't we just saying contact IAD, because that's really who you're looking at. Commissioner Angela.
Yes, my suggestion was to I thought it was duplicative to have the OPD/IAD directly after where you've kind of explained those two acronyms. And the other suggestion that I had was to remove the AKAs throughout, because it is implied as it being a glossary that these are explanations of those underlined terms.
I'm sorry, you would remove what now?
The AKA.
Oh,
That's
yes.
adding another, yeah, it's listed with each of the definitions, and it's just adding another acronym, and I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Definitely, I understand.
Yeah.
Also, I do agree that it should be in alphabetical order. I was just, as the words came to me, then I would write them.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
That
Okay.
makes a lot of sense. Sometimes it's easier to do the glossary like at the end.
Yes,
You know, when
exactly.
you're done, because there's probably more terms we'll come up with as we go through this process that will need to be integrated back into there. So,
right.
Yeah, I think it's a good brain dump.
And under complaint, one of the things I just grammatically says complaint refers to a report, case, or allegation of a violation of OPD policy or procedure or governing law. And the reason I inserted governing is that otherwise it's like it's an allegation of a violation of OPD law. And that would not be correct. So that's why I inserted governing law. It's going to be a violation of OPD policy or procedure or a violation of governing law. And then the misconduct definition, I sort of switched it around. That I thought to make it clear refers to both and I don't think we need department because we're only going to be investigating OPD sworn employees, right? Refers to sworn employees affirmative act, a failure to act. And how did I change this now? Wait a second. Refers to both an affirmative act or a failure to act that violates the department's policies, procedures, directives or governing law.
Okay. That's definitely fine. We can definitely change that. Just so you know, I took that definition from OPD's manual of definition for their officers of what misconduct is.
Okay, all right.
Not that we're required to use the exact same verbiage that they do, but that's where
Okay. Again, I agree we'll take out these AKAs. Recording person. Now the BWC, what is PDRD? I didn't see that defined any place. And do we need PDRD?
PDRD is what they would call body worn camera previously. I believe that they stopped calling it, but when I first started, people were referring to it as PDRD. And I don't even know what the letters stand for because I always said BWC. So when I referred to body worn camera, I just wanted to include PDRD for the people that used to reference it that way.
Okay, then. Okay.
I think we should delete it if we don't know what it stands for.
Yeah, I agree. And then the report of investigation, again, these were, you have completed by the CI2. And then I thought we need to define what a CI2 is, and because it's nowhere defined yet, it's just CI2. It's an investigative report completed by the CI2. So I think perhaps if we're going to put a definition of CI2 in there, it will have come up before.
Well, we can just take that out, then can refer to a compiled investigative report. Doesn't have to necessarily say completed by a CI2 if we haven't gotten to the definition of the CI2.
Okay.
Or you can move your glossary to the end of the document and you will have already defined it and people can refer to it at the end. But that's just a suggestion.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. CPRA mandated duties. Again, I was saying while we're repeating this, we've talked about moving that anyway to the beginning. What does CPRA do? That was good to do. We got I always say CPRA. CPRA also investigates any other possible misconduct or failure to act of a sworn employee, sworn department employee, whether the subject of a public complaint as directed by the commission. I thought that that always being that referencing a sworn department employee was basically too many words always to use over and over again. And once we know that you're only going to be investigating OPD sworn employees, you don't have jurisdiction to investigate a sworn employee of the Contra Costa County or of Richmond Police Department anyway. So I think we can get rid of some of that language, some of the words, the verbiage. And then we got the complaint investigator 3.
Does CPRA have the authority to investigate like a non-sworn officer? So, or
No,
admin? Okay, only sworn. person.
only sworn.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and again, all the more you only have jurisdiction to investigate a certain class of once you refer to that, say that one time, that's basically all you will need. And then the complaint receipt and intake process, had suggested that we take this out again while we're repeating this. And also to delete the footnote that goes with it.
Well, that's a little different. If you just go down
Okay.
a little bit again,
Okay, go up or down?
down to the part you say where that you crossed out.
Take the footnote out.
No, go down, go, I'm sorry, up then.
Go up.
Down. Back. Back a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
Here.
that one.
So the fact that we're required to receive, review, and prioritize our public complaints is different. We haven't said that before. That's different than saying, what does CPRA do?
Okay,
Specifically, that the charter mandates that we receive, review, and prioritize our public complaints concerning that, which is why it was footnoted.
okay. So how about complaint receipt and intake process? CPRA is
And I would-
required.
I just wanted to add that, you know, I know in certain parts of the section, it does seem repetitive, but sometimes you may only be looking at a certain section. You're not going to necessarily flip back to the beginning of another section to read that. So if it makes sense for that, you know, blurb to be there, then we need to keep it. Because I know if it was me reading it, I don't want to have to go back to page 10 and I'm on page 50. So placement does matter in terms of where we're placing the context of the section that we're talking about.
Okay, so let me ask this. Do you need to have the Community Police Review Agency, paren CPRA, close paren? Do you need to have that? What if you just say CPRA?
We can condense
it's
it, but I don't think
required-
necessarily deleting the whole thing. I think
Okay, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
one Charlotte
Yeah,
mentioned
you
that.
can take CPRA
But
out.
your intro could just be CPRA is required to receive, review, and prioritize our public complaints. And that could be it. Now, what is number 5? I think it refers to a charter amendment.
Yes.
And I would put that charter reference into as a paren right after you say that, instead of a footnote. Footnotes are distracting for many people because it interrupts your flow. And if it's important enough, you can just put it in a paren right there, instead of people having to scroll down to the bottom, read that, and then go back up to the top.
Okay.
Okay. The rest of them, and by the way, anyone who has something to say, just go ahead and interrupt, because I realize I'm overlooking hands. So Angela, go ahead.
For this section, and probably maybe for all of the process ones, I had a suggestion that it might be helpful to include like a visual that is of a process flow or a decision tree. Those are pretty easy to make in like Visio or something like that, and you can just plop it in, you know, the sections that pertain to the complaint process, and then another one for the adjudication process, or whichever ones are next.
Yeah.
That was one comment. And then back to that footnote under the complaint and intake process. It might, I know it's stating that CPRA shall do this, but I think we might need a sentence. It's at the top of the section, Commissioner Harbin Forte. We might need a sentence that says,
for complaint,
like, the purpose of this section, maybe around like, you know, CPRA has established this process in order to ensure something, you know, that complaints are responded to in a timely or efficient manner, or something like that. That instead of like just regurgitating whatever the statute says, and what the responsibilities are for CPRA, make it more specific to this section is what I'm trying to say. And just explaining why we have this receipt and intake process.
Yeah, okay.
I'll
And
add some notes there with some language too to make it easier.
And yeah, and I had suggested some flow charts before at some of our first meetings to have that can, even though this is for staff, I think it might even help staff as well. It would certainly help people who have oversight over CPRA to know what the flow is. And so decision trees, flow charts are good. And then you can get it like to one page, and somebody who just needs the information can just look at that schematic, that flow chart, and they'll see where things are supposed to be. And we may so anyway, so that's a good suggestion. Is something that we should try to see if we can get someone to do. I had some questions about some of the things. Complaints can be filed against. My question was, does the employee have to be current on the date of the complaint or on the date of the incident? Because it says complaints can be filed against any current sworn employee of the Oakland Police Department. So does that mean that if they beat up somebody on Monday and by Friday they're gone, that the victim can't file a complaint?
We would have no more jurisdiction over the person if they're gone on Friday. They have to be a current legal standing employee.
I'm sorry?
Current at that moment, at that time of the complaint.
At the time, on the date of the complaint. So I would clarify that any sworn employee, something, or an employee was on the date of the complaint. If the employee is still employed on the date of the complaint, on the date that the complaint is received, something like that. But I was confused. My question was, is that when you say current, is current as of when? As of the complaint, as of the act, or as of the date of the complaint? So that was a question for me, but now you've explained, no, it has to be current as of the date of the complaint. So if they have been fired in the meantime, or they've retired or whatever in the meantime, you cannot investigate a complaint against them.
Right, or if there's something that happened before they were hired, we wouldn't be able to investigate that complaint.
Right.
It had to be current at the time of the complaint.
Okay.
This isn't going to discourage residents from filing the complaint, right? I mean, the complaints should be filed because they're not only filed against the current sworn officer, but it's also generally filed against the department. So just for document's sakes, I wouldn't want this language to discourage, anyone from, filing the complaint, even if the sworn officer is, is not currently employed. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, they could file the complaint, but we wouldn't have the authority to investigate it because the charter only gives us the authority to investigate current sworn employees.
Correct. So that's addressing the investigation process of it. But residents, would want to, file the complaint in any case, so
Well,
it goes file and.
See, that would be a different complaint, though. They would just file a police report or something against them, if that's what you're saying. It wouldn't be an administrative process because they're no longer part of the administration. These are administrative investigations. So I'm not exactly.
Yeah, let me think about that, because that's the last thing that this document should do, is discourage anyone from because of because they're not employed anymore, then I can't do anything about it. We don't want to send that kind of message. Let me think about this a minute, or if someone else has something on that.
Okay. Just, we can put a pin in it. And I think this is just so if somebody comes in to CPRA, to the CPRA office or whatever, and says, I have a complaint against Sally James, and so you're just gonna give them the form to fill it out anyway, right? if they walk into the CPRA office, they're gonna get the complaint form.
That
You're not
they're
going
going to take the information from them and complete the complaint form. They're not going to give them a form to fill out. They're going to fill it out with them there. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, you'll do the intake. And
Mhm.
then, are you going to know when you get the information whether Sally James is still an employee?
No, unless the intake just happened to know, but no, they're not going to know at that time.
Okay, and so this won't really discourage people from filing the complaint. They can file the complaint anyway. It may be
Right.
later on that CPRA determines that we don't have jurisdiction to investigate, but no one would be discouraged from filing the complaint, even
Right.
if the employee is no longer there.
Right.
Okay.
And
Okay,
can complaints be filed anonymously as well?
Yes,
So I think we should add that as a number.
it is. I think it should be. Can you go up a little bit?
an anonymous person. Yeah,
Yeah, an anonymous person is number 5.
Oh, okay,
yeah. Okay,
thank you.
okay. And then I just changed the line, complaints can be filed by the following methods. Complaints can be filed at the following locations. That was just a change of the language there. And then down here, by the way, that for some reason, the numbering went off.
Yes, I see that. What happened to the zeros?
You know, it's kind of like who put the zero there, but the system was doing that, and it just threw off all of the numbers. So you'll have to sort of find the changes. But that was any OPD complaints can be filed at the following locations. Number 1 is any OPD precinct or headquarters, and then in the field, and then inside CPRA or through CPRA's online process. And then we got complaints made through CPRA, and that was that OPD or IAD stuff.
I would have to say OPD or IAD, because although IAD is part of OPD, they can make them at OPD at a precinct or with IAD. So that's
Okay.
why I put them together. But I can say CPRA or OPD or IAD.
Okay. Okay.
Are there precincts in Oakland?
Yeah, you
But
got 73rd.
Is that referred to as a precinct or an area headquarters? Or I've
I think just to make it clear, we can just say that they can make a complaint at the main police station, which is on 7th Street, or that they can make one at the substation at Eastmont. That would just make it clear and plain.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. At any OPD at any OPD substation or
There's only
headquarters?
2 locations. It's the Eastmont and then it's the one on 7th Street.
Well, then if they opened any other ones that would cover it.
Yeah.
So you could maybe just say any, or you call them substations, precincts, I'm sorry, is what we call them in Detroit. So you call them.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
They
think we
call it
just
the
say,
substation. I'm just using the language they use.
I've never heard
no,
that.
we
term.
just say at any OPD substation or headquarters, and
Okay.
just take out substitute precinct for substation.
Okay,
And then
sorry,
If
my
op-
language.
yeah, if OPD gets flushed and everything and has so many officers they don't know what to do with, and they open up another substation someplace. Yeah, okay. And then we don't have to go back and change the policy manual, the procedures manual. And so we got the, when I highlighted intake CI3 or something, it was now what is, and that was the other thing, what's an intake CI3? Sometimes you refer to just a CI3 and now you're talking about an intake CI3. So
Yeah, I think I'll have to clear that up. I think someone else had a question about that. So there is just one CI3. There's just one Oakland position CI3. Within CPRA, we separate them, the duties for the CI3 title into intake and investigative. So because this is an internal document, the staff internally understand that there's a CI3 that does intake and a CI3 that does investigations. So
there are
that's
2 different people.
There are 2 different people, but there's one title. There's no official intake CI3 title or investigative CI3 title. There's just a CI3. We've separated them by duties.
Okay. Okay. All right. I thought that B down there was unclear. let's see, the intake CI3 or their designee will document in the database and on the new intake summary log all CRRs received from IAD on the same day, but no later than the next day. So this says that basically on the same day or the next business day, you have to document in your database.
Yes, when they receive it, they have to input it that same day or by the next, no later than the next business day.
Okay. And then that reference to business day is something else that we'll talk about, because business day, next business day. And then then there's a definition, a footnote that says next business day means something in certain circumstances. And the days where someone's out of the office doesn't count or something like that.
Yes.
But, okay. And then I just added a title. So the title of this paragraph, complaints made by voicemail. The other language was above that, any other relevant complaint related information. Does it have, can't we just want any other relevant information, right?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the sentence above that, any other relevant, I took out complaint related so that it's any other relevant information available at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, we was trying to shorten the document as much as we can to try to get rid of as many unnecessary words as we can, and to make it real clear, because if you're only going to be taking relevant information, it probably is going to be related to the complaint.
I am. That's fine.
And then I added this heading, complaints made by voicemail, to separate out that this suggestion is just about complaints made by email. And then that footnote 7, maybe I had a question down. Let me just try to go down to footnote 7. See if I can find it. Or maybe, oops, maybe it's not. Oh, maybe maybe the pagination. I don't know where 7 is, but 7, one of them had a definition about the next business day, and it said that if a person is out on leave or something, that it doesn't, you don't count those days.
Yes.
Which I thought was problematic. I have to try to find my comments on footnote 7.
Well, I think my rationale is that the intake tech is responsible. Whoever is assigned to intake. Did you hear me? I'm sorry. Did I have an echo? Was that me?
I'm sorry.
Echo. I'm sorry. So the intake tech who's responsible for inputting the complaints that day, or usually it's for the week, but for that particular day, if they're not there the next day, so they're responsible for that. And if they're not there the next day because they called in sick or something happened, they can't be held responsible for that. So we want to clarify that, because you can't hold them responsible for things when they're not there. No one else would necessarily, unless they were able to ask another intake tech to take that on for them, do that.
What is your backup plan so that there's no delay? If someone's out, they got COVID and they're in the hospital for a week or 2.
Then it would be assigned to another intake tech altogether. We're just talking about that one person's responsibility. If I'm responsible, if this is my week, for example, and I'm doing it all week, and then Friday I take off sick, I'm not going to be held responsible for putting it in on the next business days, which would be Friday, not until I come back. But if the person calls in sick, we would try to have the other intake tech step in for them. We're just talking about that individual person's responsibility. If that's
okay. Okay.
So you can't hold anyone responsible for something that they can't do. But if you're there, you understand that you're required to do it that day or the next business day.
Okay. Okay. And I just changed some of the howevers to but. If a caller was unable to be contacted, but the voice message contains sufficient information, then you do this. And then I had a question about who's to enter this information.
The person who is on intake duty that day.
Okay. Was there another question, Mariana? I thought you were trying to say something.
Yeah,
No.
so we're getting really specific with the days and the responsibilities, and that's because it affects the 180 days goal. Is that why?
Well, it affects that as well, but it kind of holds the person responsible for what they're required to do and the time that they're required to do it. So you can't, I mean, not necessarily for discipline purposes, but you can't hold the person responsible if they're not aware of when they're required to do it. So it affects both.
Okay.
This is the only part that's referring to almost a personnel matter. Why is that in here? I'm sorry. I'm just.
No, all of them. There's other parts that are referring to personnel matters as well. It's the intake and when they're supposed to do things. It's the investigators when they're supposed to do things, when they're supposed to make certain contacts, things like that as well.
Those are responsibilities, but this one is almost inferring discipline, like you said, right? You can't hold someone accountable, but so.
Well, also it has to be clear that we made a lot of changes in the intake process too.
Okay.
So that's why the intake process is actually more specific and longer than the other process, because we wanted to be very clear about what those changes meant, the timelines and how they looked in actual, process. So that's why the intake section is specific and long.
Okay.
Some of these things weren't done before.
Yeah, I was just referring to, how we're trying to make this document, easily understandable and, and then that. So, yeah, that's okay. I guess at some point, all these changes are going to be implemented, correct? All the changes you're referring to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the plan, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other things were, just complaint made online, just putting in a heading. I changed the reference, since you said in B that the intake technician will make a return call or an email. Return call or email to the person. You had a return call / email, and I just take. I am one of those persons who just hates slashes. It's like it's one or the other. So you're going to make a return call or you're going to send an email to the person, and then I just had at least 2 follow-up attempts will be made with voice messages or emails. Detailing the reason for the follow-up and providing CPA, just to get rid of the slashes and the grammatical matters or questions. Is this law called a timeline / chronological law?
I was gonna just ask Mika. I think it is, but she probably knows a little bit better than me what the database calls it. I believe that it is called timeline chron log. We call it the cron log, but Mika, is that verbiage correct? I can look at the database, but.
Yeah, it's just, that's more so internal language. We go back and forth. And so, I mean, if we were to make this easier for the public, we could just say timeline, but internally we know that we're referring to the timeline / cron log.
So that's in your system, the timeline / cron log.
Yeah, that's
or
how
about,
and we go back and forth internally with the language that we use.
Is it a
about
database?
the database chronological log? That is that actually is very clear.
It's actually a tab in our database, and that's how it's labeled.
It's both. I thought it was both too.
Yeah.
I think on the actual tab it says timeline / cron log.
Okay. All right then. Well, so whatever. That's not as okay. So whatever you guys it's easier to do again in terms of what it means, and that was just my reacting to the slash. I mean, what is it? Is it the timeline or is it the cron log? Okay. And so then there was another reference to no later than the next business day. And that was my question again, because this next business day seems different from the next business day sought to be defined in footnote 7. So I guess as long as everybody knows what you mean, that's one thing. But again, footnote 7 was talking about when you're not going to be there when the person is out. Let's see here. I sure didn't do much in terms of my spelling. A lot of these is just cleaning up the language. If the time and on A here, if the time and place are not convenient, alternative locations, whatever, and available office hours should be offered. If the time and place are not convenient, alternative locations and available office hours should be offered. My eyes were tired when I was doing this. And then this reference to 3 business days and everything. My question was, what happens if the assigned staff person is on extended leave? But I guess you all will know what is supposed to happen, but you may want to put it in the procedures manual so that there's always the accountability. What else did I have on here? And I suggested that in footnote 9 that the information that's in the footnote should be included there. That's the one, I guess, about sexual assault or something like that.
Yes.
Okay, I suggest that it be put in the body of the text again. Rather, it's important information rather than in a footnote. Most of these other things were non-substantive, at least now with respect to 4. I said, this is confusing. If the intake investigator is to investigate, shouldn't that directive be included at the bottom of the complaint summary? Should be included at the bottom of the complaint summary statement form, because this and 4 says, if you cannot determine, if the intake CI3 cannot determine by the complainant summary statement form if there's a mandated allegation or not, then the intake CI3 will document insufficient information to make a determination in the timeline prom log. And on the bottom of the complaint summary statement form, and will return the form to the assigned intake technician. But isn't then that intake technician going to do something? Was the intake, does the intake technician?
You said if the intake investigator is to investigate, the intake investigator is not investigating.
Okay, so you're gonna make the note, the intake CI3 will make a note at the bottom of the summary and send it back to the assigned intake technician.
Yes.
And does, under what circumstances can you do an investigation even if it's not mandated?
The executive director can decide that an investigation will be conducted even if it's not mandated. But that's not what this is speaking to.
That's right. And I think my note was supposed to have gone under 3. For under 3, if you determine there's no allegation that's mandated, but the intake CI3 has determined that it can be investigated at the discretion of the executive director or the police commission, then the case will be investigated. They will document that determination as not mandated with investigation in the database on the bottom of the summary form, and will return the form to the assigned intake technician. And then what is the intake technician to do with that?
That's under it. The next step when they receive the form, if they would proceed with it as if it was a mandated allegation. So they would take the same steps that they would if it was mandated.
Okay. And I think that I combined.
So it would go under that with processing of the complaint of the form.
But it's necessary to stamp that as not mandated?
Right, it's not mandated with investigation, meaning that it's not mandated by the charter, the 5 areas that are mandated, but the director has decided or the commission has decided that we're going to investigate it anyway. So
Right.
it would indicate that it's not mandated, but it's still proceeding with investigation. And then they would proceed, it would be processed the same way it would as if it were originally mandated.
Commissioner Harvey Forte, I'm addressing this to you because you have this kind of mind. So if you receive something like this, would you give that less importance, or if you receive something that said not mandated, but we're moving forward with it? Is that the kind of message you would get, or that's what I would get, but
Oh, see, I would just, I'm sorry, I know you posed a question to her, but that would say to me that it's more important, because although we're not required to do it, someone has looked at it and determined that this is really important. We need to look at this anyway. So what that really says is this is really important.
Right, that's you, Ms. Jones. I was actually referring to someone in the police department, and so this is not going to be important, because it's not mandated. Now, you may deem it to be important, even though it's not mandated. As the police commissioner, what are your thoughts? Thank you for that, Ms. Jones. Commissioner Harvey Forte.
If I saw it as a police officer, would I think that it would be less important because it's not mandated?
Yes.
No, I don't think so. I think I would think, no, this is very important. It looks like I have really messed up if I were the offending officer.
Right, right. I
Because
mean,
I've done something that's not mandated, but they're gonna investigate me anyway.
right, right. I'm just thinking, someone, in the side of that offending officer, like OPOA, or, saying, well, why are we even moving forward? This is mandated. But if you
Not
folks
even
think that
mandated.
it's important to stamp that mandated, then,
Interesting. No, I don't think that I would think it was less important.
Okay.
I don't think so. Commissioner Ordaz, it's almost 7:25. We're gonna be going soon. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask a question, just zooming us out. I don't know if I heard this at the last meeting, but I'm curious, how do these SOPs compare to SOPs of other similar bodies in other jurisdictions? Are we in alignment? Are we off? What does that look like?
No, I helped prepare the SOP in Detroit, so I'm aware of how generally they look. And also in preparing this, when I did review other SOPs too, so that, they're the same type, understanding, what they should contain. So I think they're very similar.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, good, thank you. Okay, and I think that this notation under 4 was really meant to go under 3. Because it was unclear also, if it's going to be investigated, shouldn't that directive be included at the bottom of the complaint summary? And if I understand that under number 3, if it goes back, it is being sent back to be investigated. But
and it is on the bottom of the summary. It says that.
It will be on the bottom.
It says that
Okay.
they enter that in the database and on the summary.
Okay. I added some other language in the next section. It probably is the intake, technician will call or email the complainant. And then I added, if the complainant has not already provided a statement to CPRA, then you'll offer to take a recorded statement, even if one has already been provided to OPD or IAD. Okay, I'm thinking, oh, and then I had one big question. I think we can probably end now pretty soon, but on the CAD purge, it seems to me that a CAD purge should be requested at the beginning of the investigation process. This seems like this request is going to be becoming later. And those CAD purges, they're only held for a certain amount of time, aren't they?
I'm not exactly sure how long they're held, but that's in the beginning of the process. We're still at intake. It hasn't even gotten to investigative stage yet. So this is all at the beginning. As soon as it's determined that it's mandated, these are all the things that the intake tech will request. So that's early on in the process.
Oh, okay then. Okay, oh, good. Okay, and the only other thing as a general matter was, I think that each complainant should get a closure letter. I was troubled by the fact that, again, it appears that not everybody gets a closure letter. And
right.
And when we get a complaint, we get members of the public say, I filed a complaint. I ain't never heard nothing from CPRA. You know, they ain't said nothing to me about what happened or anything. So there always ought to be a closure letter under every circumstance.
Let me explain my rationale, because I had that in the beginning. And I definitely thought that, because where I'm from, everyone got contact, either by letter or phone call. But the reason I reconsidered and changed that here, and I'm not opposed to whatever you guys decide on that, but my thinking on this is that most of our complaints come in through IAD, right? I mean, we put the information, you can download it there. Almost 70% comes through IAD. So those people who have complained to the sergeants may have heard about CPRA or may not, but they haven't contacted us. So what would happen is, say they file a complaint about an officer being rude or disrespectful, a demeanor complaint with IAD. They don't know anything about CPRA. They may or may not. IAD forwards it to us. So we would get the complaint and then send a letter to the community member, the complainant, saying, you know, we know you didn't tell us or ask us to investigate, but just so you know, we're not going to investigate this complaint. To me, I put myself in the place of the community member making the complaint. Do I want to get a letter indicating, I don't know who, you know, I know you didn't file a complaint with me, but I just want to let you know, I'm not going to investigate your complaint. To me, that's different than the people who have reached out to CPRA. That's different than the people who are getting their cases investigated by CPRA. That's 70% of the people who are not getting their cases investigated by CPRA, getting letters saying, we just wanted to let you know, we're not going to investigate your complaint. I think that that's something to consider, which is why I grappled with it back and forth. And it just seemed to me not the best engagement with the community. They didn't ask. Most of these people don't know about us. They didn't know that it was forwarded to us from IAD. And here we are sending them letters saying, okay, just wanted to let you know, that's not what we're going to look into. So that's why I went back and forth with it. And again, I'm not so opposed, and it is different than what I think, because in my head, I think, okay, a complaint, everyone should be, you know, contacted in some way. But looking at it from that point of view, I thought maybe that's not the best way to handle the situation. And again, whatever you guys decide is, you know, what we'll do. But that was my rationale for changing that.
Okay.
Is it possible to, I mean, I think it's important too that complainants get some sort of response, even if it is a negative one, and maybe saying, like, maybe it is a letter that says, your complaint was forwarded to CPRA. This is what CPRA does. We're here to serve the public. We conduct independent investigations. Sorry for the dog. And unfortunately, your complaint doesn't meet whatever criteria, or was denied investigation because of X, Y, and Z.
That's
Right.
right.
And then if you wish to amend or not amend, but like if you wish to, refute it or something like that, then please contact our office at blah, blah, blah. And then you can go from there.
Well,
That would definitely be the language for the people who, like I said, made them with CPRA, because even if they contacted us, they might still get that letter that we're not going to investigate. I just, just explaining my rationale. And again, like I said, that would be more like 70% of the people who are getting those negative, which can be viewed as negative letters, without the letters aren't being responsive to something that they put out. It's just us letting you know that. So
I think that's better than nothing.
That's better than nothing. And what it
from
also,
IAD. It's not like they don't get anything though. It's not like they made a complaint and they don't get any contact.
well,
They have
get it from,
IAD.
they
because
get it from
that's who-
IAD, but then it's been sent over to you. And there may be some people who do know that that letter, that case got forwarded to CPRA.
And they
So-
usually and those people kind of follow up with us, kind of. So, I mean, again, I understand. I just wanted you to like kind of.
No, I understand the rationale, but I
I'm
think
not
that,
saying a letter is a problem. It's definitely not a problem. So.
okay, good. Because I think that what it does as well is it lets them know that the next time you can come to us.
yes,
You can come directly to CPRA with
That's
a
right.
complaint. And it's good, it's educational for the public. And it also shows that we're out there. We've looked at it, we've done something. I know you went to OPD. You may think OPD took it and put it in the round file. We got it, we looked at it, and it's not there. I think that gives reassurance as well to people that, okay, CPRA has looked at, not only did the corrupt police department throw it away, but CPRA has looked at it, and CPRA has decided that it is not, there's nothing there. There's no there, or CPRA has no jurisdiction to do it. And
That's right.
please trust me, I'm not calling OPD corrupt or anything, but
No, I understand. Like I said, I did grapple.
that would be the that may be the mindset. I didn't expect anything from OPD anyway. They just got to protect themselves, but they know that a community agency has looked at it and has determined not to do anything. But okay, it's after 7:30. This is going to be a long and a slow process to go through this, but I think what I'd really like to see would be some kind of flow charts or something at some point. And I don't know, Charlotte, when you all will have an opportunity to do anything. We were ambitious, hoping that we'd have this done by December. It's going to take a little bit longer, but to the extent that we can get anything that shows what the case processing is, that would help us.
Okay, we can definitely do the flow charts. I did review your comments. I just didn't make any because obviously I wanted you guys to make your comments, and I didn't want to make any corrections until we were, we had decided on what those were. So that's why I didn't make any changes or additions or anything. But
okay.
we can at least upload the visuals that we would attach so that you can see what it's like without actually adding those to the document.
Okay, that would be good. Yeah. There can be a separate document. That is great. Anything for good of the order? Our next meeting is when do we get this one? Is on Tuesday, December 6th at 6 p.m. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And enjoy that, and we shall see everybody on the 6th. If you have any thoughts or comments, please make them go ahead and make them on the document.
I'm reviewing them. I just, again, didn't make any changes until we agreed.
Okay, yeah, that's good. No worries. And thank you all.
Where do you get permission to get
much.
onto the Google?
I'm sorry.
Where do you get the permission to interact with the document? Because I couldn't get on.
Did you put your email in the email that we use, that we sent the document to you?
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe
enter that
okay.
email, because it asked you for the email that it got sent to.
Right. Okay.
So use that one, and then it should open up for you.
Thank you.
And if it doesn't, email Kelly. Kelly can help you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Anything else? All right. Thank you all, everybody. Enjoy your
Bye,
holiday.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And thank you, Angela, for getting us in. Okay. I think that I can. Now, let me get it out of here.